Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We've got a great new show for 2023 with a man that's been with us on and off for the last 2 or 3 years, the esteemed journalist and writer, author, Cool Cat Charlie Pierce, talking to us from his home in Massachusetts. We call these episodes Checkpoint Charlie. So we're now in Checkpoint Charlie 2023. And with the way things are going out in D.C., we'll probably be talking to him more regularly than before. But we're happy to have him. Charlie, Happy New Year. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Paul. It's good to talk to you. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everybody on the range.
Beautiful. It's we are enjoying a beautiful day up here in Duluth. We've gotten quite a bit of snow. It's supposed to get to 20 below this weekend, but I say bring it on.
Oh, beach weather.
Well, it's not like there's been anything going on the political scene, Charlie.
Geez, I know.
I went through my house and my garage and guitar cases. I found no secret documents. What about you?
I know. I as far as I know, I don't have any. I have certain boxes that I don't want to look in because I'm afraid of what's actually in there. But I don't think I have any. I think I have the classified documents.
Somebody had a good
one. I've got to believe that every living ex-president and vice president is like scrounging their garage right now.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody posited on Twitter the other day that Jimmy Carter has probably stashed documents in every home he's built for Habitat for the Humanity. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's in his mid-90s. He doesn't need this crap.
No, he's and my favorite ex-president. I mean, I love JFK, but I just love Jimmy Carter. He pardoned the draft resistors on his first day in office, and he's done nothing but great things during his presidency and certainly his post-presidency.
Yeah, my daughter Molly is probably the youngest big Jimmy Carter fan that I know. She started reading about him, and she just became an enormous fan. She wants to go down. And go to Bible school on Sunday with him.
That would be amazing. And then, as long as she's down south, go and see if she can see Al Green preach at his church in Memphis.
Yeah, I've done that.
Really?
And I'll tell you what, everybody should go. First of all, it's a beautiful church.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, it's Al Green, for God's sake.
Yeah, right.
Of course he's worth seeing.
When were you there, Charlie?
Oh, Lord. When was I in? I spent a week down there researching a piece in Mississippi and staying at the Peabody, in northern Mississippi, and staying at the Peabody.
Sure.
What's that, 90, what? Ooh, boy, 92 maybe?
Did you see the ducks walk through the...
Oh, yeah. I saw the ducks every day. Are you kidding? I'm very big on ducks. I like ducks. And, First of all, that the lobby of Peabody is one of the great places in America.
Oh, my God. It's unbelievable.
I mean, you feel like a robber baron. Sit down there and get yourself some bourbon and watch the world go by.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I'd never been down to Memphis until 3 years ago. Willie Walker, who was one of the great rediscovered soul singers who I played with for 10 years, was up for the for several awards. Willie, unfortunately, passed about 2 years ago, but I had the chance just to hang out in Memphis. And, man, does that town have history.
Oh, it's one of my favorite places in the country. It really is. I mean, between Dr. King and Elvis and W.C. Handy and we can keep talking. Al Green, keep going. I mean,
yeah, Sun Records.
The Sun Records, the Stax Museum.
Oh my God! Yeah, I did make
really
Stax.
Impressed.
Yeah.
What?
No, it's really amazing. I was staying with a guy who was actually working for Graceland at the time, so we got a freebie, so we were able to go and take a tour of Graceland. But what was interesting, his house was not too far from Elvis's original house that he bought for his mom and dad, but it was also within a mile of where the two black sanitation workers were crushed in the garbage truck, which of course started the strike, which Dr. King went down and spoke with the weekend he was assassinated.
Oh wow, really? Is that marked and stuff?
Yes, there's a marking right there. Yeah, you can.
Wow, that's a first of all, good on Memphis for marking the place, but that's a historical deep cut right there.
Yeah,
people
for sure.
A lot of people don't remember why Dr. King was in Memphis at all, let alone the incident that provoked it.
Yeah, and then we went to the hotel, the Lorraine. Actually, it was weird, Charlie. I was standing outside taking a picture, and there was this guy with this gal talking next to me, and we started talking for some reason about radio, and he was a right-wing DJ. He's got a show in D.C. that I don't know what station it was, but he followed, back at the time, he followed Rush Limbaugh's show and there's probably more than one right-wing radio station in Washington, D.C. But he was actually, too, what the heck? I'm trying to forget. The guy's first name was Billy. He was a big CBS television guy. This guy was his stepson. But it was, you couldn't. And then if you go, did you go to the Lorraine, Charlie?
Yeah, you go through the tunnel and you go up to the rooming house.
Yeah. And then, you go to, but the Civil Rights Museum, it probably wasn't there when you were there, but it is incredible. It's right in the, as you enter the Lorraine, and then you can literally go up and get in the room covered by glass, of course, and see the actual room that Martin Luther King stayed in while he was there. And they still have his suitcase, this kind of unpacked, laying in the bed. And then you can look exactly where, and we all know the picture of when Dr. King was laying on his back after he was shot, and Jesse Jackson and everything pointed across the street to the rooming house where supposedly James Earl Ray took those shots.
Yeah, it's right. The Civil Rights Museum was there the last time I was there, so I didn't get to go through it. I haven't been to the one in Washington yet. I'm looking forward to that. But, there's a lot of history in that town.
Yeah, for sure.
Big old, it's just it was a big old, river town, cotton town. And as we talked about, it's planted thick with music. One of the things I liked was I went to the Stax Museum, which is in the old studio on Macklemore, and they kept the main recording studio pretty much intact. And if you go in there, they have a couple of old, guitars and trumpets and stuff laying around, and you can fool around a little bit. The sound in that room, you instantly understand why the music that came out of there was so good.
Well,
it sounds absolutely perfect. Yeah,
we wouldn't have America as you and I know it if it wasn't for Memphis, Tennessee.
I'll tell you, the second half of the 20th century would have been considerably more boring.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
I went the very first time I ever went to Memphis. The second time I went to Memphis was when I was still doing the NPR show, and we did a kind of a mock show for an NPR convention in Memphis, and we had a reception. It was the annual convention of all the station managers for NPR. And we had a reception on the roof of the Peabody.
Wow.
And our guest of honor was Sam Phillips.
Wow.
And we all got introduced to him, and I shook his hand and I said, "Mr. Phillips, I want to thank you because you screwed up the world in the best way anybody else ever did." And he threw back his head. He said, "I am so stealing that." But you think about it, man.
Oh, yeah. There's a great Sun Records box set that came out that I've got to get. I got to go through my couch to dig up the coin to afford it. But yeah, it's really just incredible. I mean, think about it. Just in that couple-year period at Sun Records, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, Mr. Blue Suede Shoes. Yeah, right. I mean, oh my goodness
And
gracious.
before that, I mean, it was Sam Phillips who originally recorded Howlin' Wolf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was did
And of course, up across the street from the side entrance, the front entrance of the Peabody are the studios of WGIA Records,
right,
where B.B. King and Sonny Boy Williamson were both disc jockeys.
right, and I believe that's where the great Dewey Phillips DJ'd out of. Correct?
Yes, that's right. Which many people confuse him, of course, and they believe he's Sam's brother, but he's not.
Yeah, I have a CD. I'll burn it for you, and it's all a collection of DJ Phillips's radio shows. And the guy was a little hopped up on Whitey's, but God, was he good.
Yeah, I was going to say everybody was on speed one way or another there.
Speaking about being hopped up on something, let's talk George Santos for a minute here. What's the latest?
Well, I think the records George Santos made with Sun will stand the test of time.
Yeah, and then those PBS shows he did with Leonard Bernstein, they still are.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. When he was playing first violin with New York Philharmonic, those were the days, boy. Those were the golden years.
What does this guy? Was this guy even born in America? Do we even know that?
Well, that appears to be unclear. And of course, the biggest problem we have is you can't trust him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was he born in Brazil? I have no idea. I mean, at this point, I'll believe anything.
Yeah. Well,
except what he said. I'll believe anything anyone says about him, except anything he says about himself. It's a very strange place to be in regards to a public figure.
I in a way, I agree with James Carville. I hope he sticks around as long so we can get every ounce of flesh out of that dude.
Yeah, well, he's the flavor of the week. But I'm telling you, there's going to be plenty of time. That's going to be a target-rich environment in the House this time for the next couple of years.
Oh my God! Well, I would love to find out Kevin McCarthy's middle name. I'm guessing it's Joe.
Well, I did on the blog today. I said that he was engaging in more traditional forms of McCarthyism.
Oh my God, it's incredible! And for those of you that just have tuned in, we're talking to Charlie Pierce. He writes a great political blog for Esquire.com. Tell us a little bit more about Marjorie Taylor Greene and this Lauren Boebert. I mean, how did this happen, for God's sakes?
You get gerrymandered districts where anybody with an R next to their name is guaranteed to get elected, and then you win a primary. Once you won the Republican primary, you're there. You can't lose. So that's pretty much what happened with both of them. Certainly what happened with. I mean, you've got my favorite one of the whole bunch is Paul Gosar. Every time he runs for re-election, his entire family works against him. They do commercials for his opponents.
Wasn't he the one that posted the meme about murdering AOC?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he and Green both posted on social media depictions of members of Congress being slaughtered. Yeah, he did specifically AOC, but Green did just kind of a general attack on the Congress, and this was, within a month of January 6th.
Yeah. It's so all of these committees that the House is forming, all these investigative committees. I liked how that last letter that they sent to the Justice Department. It sounds like the Justice Department is throwing some cold water on their access to everything they want to get hands on. Do you actually think these committees are going to do anything other than to embarrass the Republicans?
Well, I mean, they'll increase the speaking fees of the members of the committees, and they'll, essentially be program directors for every right-wing radio show and TV show in the country. Well, other than that, they're not meant to produce anything. I mean, it's not like the January 6th Commission. Part of its report is recommendations for the future. These aren't policy-making bodies. They're, essentially exercises in propaganda.
It's I remember I saw a little clip of Boebert, her first day in the House when she got rid of the whatever those machines are called, magometers or something that.
The metal detectors. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's going, well, get rid of these effing things, and I'm going, well, I mean, I understand the F-bomb is used more in modern discourse than ever before, but we don't need Congress people, senators doing this, speaking to their constituents, dropping F-bombs.
Well, I mean, to appreciate that, you've got to respect the job you have, and none of these people do.
Yeah. I
mean, that's the thing. None of these people are in politics to help people. I mean, these people aren't even in politics to help rich people. They're in politics to get famous, basically, and to increase the marketability of their brand. And that's it. It's not public service to them.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, we had crazy right wingers in Congress, and everybody, and they were tolerated, but they were at least interested in what was going on in their districts.
Yeah, and they seem to have some sense of history and some sense of how the House and the Senate works, but these newbies are completely clueless.
Yeah, and they were I read there's a terrific book by a really great historian from Yale named Joanne Freeman, and she wrote a book called Field of Blood, which is about violence in the Congress in the years leading up to the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of it, by the way. But when you think about it, those people were angry about slavery.
Right.
And about the nature of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And what the country was going to be going forward. This is, these people get angry over green M&Ms.
Right. Yeah,
give me a break. I mean, I don't excuse. I'm from Massachusetts, and it was, one of our senators who got caned almost half to death by Preston Brooks. But that was a fight over slavery, over human slavery. At the very least, there was, at least the violence had a little bit of high purpose behind it.
Well, I do. I love seeing the some severe sentences coming down for the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. Now that we know the foot soldiers are getting charged, they're going to do time. When are we going to get the Donald involved here?
Well, that's the next step up the chain. One hopes. Yeah, it's funny. My friend Glenn Kirshner, who you see on TV a lot, is a former U.S. attorney. He says that the way he puts it is they're sentencing all the boots, but they have to go after the suits, basically.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, there have been more people convicted of seditious conspiracy in the last 2 weeks than have been convicted of it in the last 2 centuries.
I know.
That's some serious stuff.
It blows your mind. And then you've got, I mean, how many election deniers got reelected? You know, I'm not hopeful for the near future, but I really think, I just think the GOP has short legs here when it comes to 2024, especially when you see all of these, the younger generation starting to vote. We've got Charlie Pierce on for the whole show tonight on the Wall and Power Radio Hour. We're going to take a short break and be right back. Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour, hot news show for 2023 with the great Checkpoint Charlie Pierce. Charlie, I was reading.
Wait a minute, Paul. First of all, that is an OG jingle right there. I feel like you should be queuing up the 5 Satins or something.
It was done by a trio of lovely ladies from my hometown of Virginia, Minnesota, called the Divas. I was up recording an interview with them and other Iron Range musicians. And I said, hey, ladies, I said, could you just give me something, a little 1950s bumper music? I'll tell you what, man, they had that thing done in 10 minutes, recorded it. That's the first take.
Wow. I mean, but it's really old school radio.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it.
My heart to hear it. Thought I was back listening to WORC in Worcester.
Yeah. Hey, Charlie, I just saw you wrote a little bit about, you heard, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, the new documentary Justice about Brett Kavanaugh. Tell us what you know.
No, I mean, I only know what I read in newspapers. I haven't seen it yet. Obviously, it just debuted, and the whole thing was a covert operation, which I find fascinating. You know, they kept it. They didn't even, they kept all of it a secret until they got to show it in Utah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I assume it'll be in general distribution fairly soon. Apparently, they have at least another couple of women accusing him of really horrible stuff. But apparently, the main thrust of the movie is that the FBI investigation that Jeff Flake called for in the middle of the hearing was a joke.
Yeah.
So it was absolute window dressing. We all knew that, but apparently the movie goes into it in some detail.
Is there any, so we see it and we find all this stuff we figured was there but didn't know about. Is there any way to remove this guy?
No, I mean you can't. Under the rules. I mean, first of all, he's got to be impeached by the House, and that's never going to happen.
Right.
At this point, you can't impeach someone for something he already did.
Mm-hmm.
They established. I mean, he's something that you can't impeach him for past crimes. You've got to impeach him for crimes in office, and unless he starts whipping it out to law clerks. And I don't put that past him, by the way. I'm just saying he hasn't yet, as far as we know. He's, he's home and dry, but I mean, I guess you can, demolish him as a public figure. But he became, one of their hills to die on. And
mm-hmm.
One thing you can say about modern American conservatism, by and large, they do not kill their wounded, unlike the Democrats.
I want to encourage everybody out there in AM 950 Wall of Power Radio Hour Land to check out Charles Pierce on Esquire. You had a great line about that, Charlie. You're talking about when Lindsey Graham was defending Brett Kavanaugh during the hearings that he turned so many colors it didn't even match his tie.
Yeah, he turned purple, which didn't match his tie. I've never seen. I mean that was what a god awful moment that was. He was screaming. Kavanaugh was screaming. Kavanaugh was summoning, Amy Klobuchar's father's struggles with alcohol. I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
You talk about feeling embarrassed for the House when Lauren Boebert drops an F-bomb. I felt embarrassed for the United States Senate. With this kind of behavior.
Yeah, we're going through amazingly twisted times. Now, I got to ask you a question as a buddy, Charlie. Should I still be mad at my ex-girlfriend's brother-in-law, who was a hardcore lefty, but he was not going to vote for Hillary Clinton to save his life? He was a Bernie bro. And I kept telling him, I said, Tex, it's all about the Supreme Court, and which we now know is truer than ever. Should I still be mad at him?
Yeah, I think you should probably be mad at him for the foreseeable future. Yeah, because if you remember, a lot of the Bernie people, were making noise about how they wouldn't be quote unquote blackmailed by the threat with the threat of a reactionary Supreme Court. Well, here we are.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is this is the end of a very long march by them. This is conservative hold the federal judiciary took close to 40 years, and I think Biden's doing a great job undermining it in the lower courts right now. He's getting more judges confirmed by the Senate than I think any president ever in his first term, and that's good. That will help down the line. But you've got a 6-3 on that Supreme Court for the first time since the 1890s, and I don't see any, unless Clarence Thomas, keels over, or one of the two liberal women retires. I don't see the numbers changing on that in any way.
Yeah. Well,
Thomas will strap himself to his seat for 3 weeks after he's dead rather than give it up to a Democratic president.
The only thing you can hope is that if Clarence Thomas's wish comes through to overturn the ability of two races to marry, and then he has to get a divorce because of it, he goes on such a long bender, he dies of alcoholism.
That's interesting. Although why he hasn't divorced the crazy lady by now is beyond me.
So, Supreme Court and Hillary Clinton's emails and the investigation. Let's talk about the FBI and this cat, Charles McConnell.
Oh boy, we've all gone through this once or twice or 12 times before, but this is a guy who is the guy who may have the key to the highway. He's involved in the New York FBI field office, which was involved in essentially blackjacking Comey into reopening the email investigation in October of 2016, which changed the calculus on the election completely. He was involved in investigating the connections between the campaign and the Russians, and it turns out he was doing business with this Oleg Deripaska, who's he's like the Zelig of the Russian scandal. Every time a new story comes out about that particular scandal, Oleg Deripaska is standing in the back waving. So, if this guy were to, I gotta believe that if they flip this guy and he starts giving it up, a lot of people are going to be very, very nervous. This guy was the head of the FBI foreign counterintelligence section.
Yeah,
and he's doing business with a crooked Russian oligarch. Although I repeat myself because there's no such thing as an honest Russian oligarch. I'm very intrigued by this one.
I loved your turn of phrase there. I was just reminded of there's a great Twitter family on there called Woody Guthrie Quotes, and he had a great line the other day because he always insisted, if he was going to play for a cause, of which was the majority of his gigs later in life, that it was a good cause. So people would go to Woody and go, Woody, could you play for us for free? It's a good cause. He says, well, I don't play for bad causes. We've got Charlie Pierce on. We'll be right back on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the last set of the Wall of Power Radio Hour. Our esteemed guest, Checkpoint Charles Pierce, talking to us from his home in Massachusetts. Charles, let's continue that riff on this Charles McMoneagle and the Deripaska's hands in the FBI. Now, Oleg also has a nice picture of with Mitch McConnell. Didn't they open a...
Yeah, he's the one who... He's the one. McConnell tried to get sanctions lifted on him so he could build an aluminum plant in Kentucky.
Wow!
And that was a little obvious even for the Republicans in Congress, and it fell through. But yeah, I mean the guy is everywhere. He's a very unremarkable oligarch. He's not the richest one. He's not. I mean, he's close to Putin, but he's not. I don't think in the inner circle. Of course, I don't even know if Putin's alive at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
In any event, yeah, I mean, I just remember, we all heard about Deripaska during the Manafort stuff.
Right.
But, again, he pops up with Mitch McConnell. He pops up with, this guy, this McGonigal character, who goes to work for him. He retires and goes to work for the guy.
Come on. And what about Louis Freeh now, the old FBI director? He's got, isn't his law firm representing some Ruskies as well?
I don't know that to be a fact. I know, last I heard of Louis, he was teaching at Georgetown. But I don't know that. You're ahead of me on that one if you know something.
Yeah, that's just what I read, just a headline. Hey, we'll take a soft left turn from politics into music here. We lost Jeff Beck just a few weeks ago, one of the greatest electric guitar players of our time, and then recently, last week, we lost David Crosby. Now, what was interesting about that was Roger Stone, who's a big JFK conspiracy theorist, as am I, put on his mention he thought Crosby might have been killed because of his theories on the JFK assassination. Let's leave Roger Stone aside, although I have to put in a personal note here. I did actually send 2 records of mine to Roger Stone several years ago. The record I did with all R&B covers with Willie Walker to him, and then I sent him, because he had a book out about the JFK assassination, and actually Roger Stone and I shared a few emails together.
Oh, man. You're lucky you're not under subpoena somewhere.
Well, it goes back to years ago, 1992, I had a record called Whistle Past the Graveyard came out, and I went to a radio conclave, and no less a hipster than G. Gordon Liddy was there, and I have a picture with myself and G. Gordon Liddy. I sent it out as my Christmas card that year. My buddy Eddie Nagel, who ran Eli's Bar in downtown Minneapolis, got a copy of it and blew it up and put it in a frame on his wall. So there's Metza and G. Gordon Liddy, and underneath he said, Dirty Tricks Operative and Shady Deals Specialist, pictured here with G. Gordon Liddy. It ended up getting stolen off the wall. But were you a David Crosby fan at all, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I like his Twitter persona a great deal.
Yeah.
And like I think I wrote about this on the blog last week on the occasion of his passing, that when I went away to college, I discovered the value of the afternoon nap.
Yeah.
And the way I would do that in my dormitory room, and I would close the blinds, and I'd lay down on my dormitory bed, and I'd put on the first side of the solo album if I could only remember my name.
Oh, yeah.
And that just sent me into just right into dreamland almost instantly. I mean, I don't think I've listened to the second side of that record 3 times.
Oh,
but
it's a beautiful record.
That meditative kind of circular melody that starts the album off, Music is Love, which has Joni Mitchell and Neil Young and Graham Nash and all those guys. Yeah, I'm a little bit fascinated by that whole Laurel Canyon crew.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a real kind of explosion of stuff there then, and I understand that Crosby wasn't the easiest guy to get along with. In fact, if you read, and I recommend everybody read Bill Graham's oral autobiography.
I've got it.
Yeah, the people at the Fillmore hated CSN&Y.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the book is really good about what bands they loved, what bands they hated. They loved the Allman Brothers. They loved the Who. We're talking about people to deal with.
Yeah,
they loved the Who. They loved Jay Giles. They loved the old guys, Muddy Waters, and those guys, and Bill Graham absolutely adored Otis Redding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big. Yeah.
And
he said, Bill Graham said Otis was the best.
Yeah. Yeah. But the whole staff just hated CSN&Y. They were apparently they were the first ones to have a ridiculous rider in their contract.
Yeah.
And they're also apparently they were always late for sound check, which everybody at the Fillmore East hated because they had to hang around. You just say you don't do that to the crew. I mean, you treat the crew well.
Oh, absolutely.
It was George Clooney who got into, he punched out a director who he thought was treating, a member of the craft, the person running the craft table at one of his movies shabbily.
Yeah.
You don't treat the grunts that way.
Well,
I learned that when I first started in this business, I vowed to myself I would not be like some of the people who didn't have 5 minutes to me when I was starting out. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't been. But, there are people you need to do your job, and you treat them with respect. And apparently CSN&Y, particularly C and S, were, pretty awful to people.
Some people used to refer to them as Crosby steals the cash.
I had a friend of mine who called them Crosby, Stills, Nash, and the guy with the talent.
But maybe
a little unfair.
Rest in peace.
But no, I think, and subsequently, give Crosby credit. He was making music till the day he died.
And good music. I saw him 3 years ago in Minneapolis, and he was on fire. There was, and
by the way, he had a beautiful voice. He had a wonderful voice.
And he was one of the first people that championed and produced one of our first records, Joni Mitchell.
Right. Yeah. And then Graham Nash bird dogged his quail.
There's a great song that was posted by this guy Steve Silverman called Yvette. That it's the only song that Joni Mitchell and David Crosby wrote together, and he plays both of their versions, and they're just gorgeous. And just to get back to that record, If I Could Only Remember My Name, yeah. I've always considered that was the apex of the hippie dream. Everything went to hell afterwards, but that record's got more good music on it to exemplify the time than just about any record.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Jerry Garcia and a couple of guys from Dead on it. I just think it's the first side of it is just so damn hypnotic that it just always put me right in the zone to let the problems of the day melt away. What?
Those Martin guitars and those 12 strings were so well recorded by the young sound engineer named Stephen Barncard. It was just you can really luxuriate in that record. Charlie, we just got about a minute.
And just to make a point, I mean, I don't know what. I'm almost unable to describe Jeff Beck.
Yeah,
he is so far beyond category. I posted on, I think it was on Twitter, might have been on Instagram, when he died. I posted the version that he did, the instrumental version of A Day in the Life.
Yeah. By
the Beatles, which is impossible to do, but he manages to do it. And by the way, who is the woman who plays bass for him?
Yeah, a young woman. Yeah, I follow her on Twitter. I couldn't tell you. She's got kind of a confused.
Really good. She's really good.
Yeah, and she was like 17 when she started playing with him. He had an ear for talent. And if you look back at those, the English big three, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, Jeff was the guy that kept pushing the boundaries to the very, very end.
Right. I mean, if you listen to, he's the guy who decided Rod Stewart could sing, and he was right.
That record, Truth, I love. And the other thing about Beck, he looked great until the end. He never really changed.
No, that's true. He was always a little bit weather beaten.
Yeah.
I mean, even as a youngster. But he had, he did all the guy wanted to do was play the music he heard in his head. And if you liked it, you liked it. And if you didn't, you didn't. And the thing is, he played with everybody.
Yeah. And he loved American hot rods. And I posted, I said, he disproved the national axiom that there's not any money above the 12th fret.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that don't get too fancy with your guitar playing. And a lot of
he abandoned that one, I think, when he was 12.
Charlie Paris, it's been so great to talk to you. We're going to be more in touch with these.
Absolutely. It's great to have you back, my friend. I'm glad you're healthy.
I'm feeling good. I feel good. And like I said, I'm going to get back to my workout routine of 10 cannonballs in a sauna here in a month. And I will keep you posted as I try to keep my girlish figure.
Yeah, attaboy. Have a good one, Paul.
Thanks, Charlie.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. The show was produced by Paul Metza, engineered by Brett Johnson. We'd like to thank our guest, Charlie Pierce, for taking part in the Wall of Power Radio Hour. I've got a big show coming up March 25th at the Women's Club in Minneapolis, a music and storytelling series about my book, Alphabet Jazz, which you can get on Amazon or at the Electric Fetus. And like my dad used to tell me, remember to be kind and make someone happy.
Power will fall.